Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I am Joey Francis, your life, love, and relationship coach. Thank you so much for joining me. Do nice guys finish last? Or nice people? Do nice people finish last? Very interesting question, because a lot of the nice people out there, or those who think that they're nice, definitely say this and feel it. But I also believe that they use this as a bit of an excuse. It makes it okay that we finish last, the so-called nice people. But there's different ways of really looking at this. Okay. There's the people who are nice, but like someone here, me, who at least I believe that I'm nice, but at the same time, I understand that I am an extremely, extremely picky person. And I know there's a lot of people out there that may or may not realize or be self-aware enough to understand that they're that picky. And that's essentially why you're finishing last, if that's what you believe. Then there's other people out there who are extremely nice and are essentially pushovers. They are people who are people pleasers. And they will essentially do anything to please people, even at their own detriment, which, granted, doesn't exactly help out their situation. See, what it really comes down to is, what do you consider finishing last? What does that mean exactly? Does it mean that you are single and you're essentially, going through life and don't have someone, or it seems that life doesn't want to grant you someone, despite how hard you try, despite all your dating, despite your past, despite everything? It just seems like it's not for you, like it's not going to happen for you. Is that finishing last? Or is it a matter of being in a relationship potentially and not being happy, and then eventually becoming single after the fact because someone has taken massive amounts of advantage of you, and then you sort of go through life just doing the same thing over and over again, getting into a relationship, becoming a people pleaser, and then at the same time, them hurting you to your detriment. You finally wake up, walk away after trying to make it work, and then it doesn't. Does that mean finishing last? And these are the questions you need to ask yourself. And which camp are you really in here? Because again, if you are someone that is similar to me, you're extremely picky. And is there something wrong with being that way? I personally don't think so. We are all entitled to want whatever it is that we want, but that doesn't necessarily mean we are entitled to get what it is that we want. And sometimes that sounds unfortunate because we all want what we want, but it's also a matter of, are you being realistic in the things that you want? Right? Is that you being too nice? No, it has nothing to do with how nice you are of a person. But then there's the people in the other situation, the other case, where you are extremely nice and you are a people pleaser and essentially going along with whatever somebody wants to go along with. These could be even narcissists, and they love bomb you, make you feel good for a short period of time, and then next thing you know, you are trapped in their world. And rather than confronting them, you hate confrontations because, again, you're too nice and you're a people pleaser, and it just takes an exorbitant amount of time. I hope that I said that somewhat correctly. I hope you understand what I mean when I said that. You took a very long time to build up the courage to approach them and to break up with them and to walk away from the situation. But then if you've done nothing for yourself in that situation, if you've done nothing to correct your problems or your issues, you're just going to end up repeating the process and doing it again. And then again and again and again and again. And once again, finishing last, so to speak. So is it really that nice people finish last? No, not at all. I mean, at the end of the day, it just depends on what you want, what you're looking for. And in the case of the nice people that are people pleasers, that come into contact with someone and just go along with what they say, are you really finishing last? You're in a relationship. Are you happy? Are you happy right now? Are you listening to this? Are you happy right now? Are you one of these people? Do you need to, take stock of your life and what's going on? So, do nice people finish last? No, they don't. Finishing last obviously depends on what your definition of that means, because obviously there's no finishing last. I'm sure there's people out there. There has to be. Like if you go to like some old folks home in like Florida or something, because I don't know if you know about the old folks homes situations in Florida. Interesting Google. Why don't you give that one a shot if you're bored one day? Have an interesting Google and go see what's going on in Florida and old folks homes. Anyways, I'm sure there's people there who may or may not have never been married and don't necessarily have a family, and they end up in an old folks home in Florida. And next thing you know, they're finding the love of their life there. To me, that's finishing last. I mean, we, at least the people that I hope are listening to this, we are of an age where, we have a whole lifetime ahead of us. I mean, when you think about it, right? If we are in our, let's say 40s, like 100 years ago, I mean, the life expectancy was between like 40 and 60. So, we literally have a whole lifetime ahead of us to go. Not finishing last whatsoever. And it really comes down to, what is it that you want? What is it that you're looking for? What are you hoping to achieve? And in past episodes, I don't remember exactly which past episodes, but in past episodes, I talk about, having tough conversations right away and being forward with what you want. Some people may not see that as being nice. I don't think so, because what is that? That has, you're serving yourself. Usually people that don't want to have tough conversations is because they're trying to hide something. Granted, I understand that if you go a little too far deep, some people may not want to discuss, certain things. But at the same time, we're going to have to find out eventually. So why not now? And then sort it out afterwards. Because if we don't work, we don't work. If we're not it, we're not it. And if we are it, we are it. That's simple. Also, when it comes to nice people finishing last, those who don't get off their ass and do something about it. Are you the type of person that says to yourself, I'm a nice person and it always feels like I'm finishing last? And then you ask them, like, how many dates have you gone on? How many people, like new people, have you met and talked to? And the answer is like, not a lot, like 0, maybe like 1 or 2. Oh, okay. So what you're saying is you're a nice person who's finishing last, but at the same time, you're not even putting yourself out there and going out on dates and finding someone to date. Is that a matter of finishing last now? Or is that a matter of, you not putting in the effort to find somebody? That has nothing to do about you being last anymore, right? So when we really break down the saying, do nice guys finish last? I mean, I know what people are thinking, because nice guys are the ones that get taken advantage of. Whose fault is that really? I understand when we fall in love with somebody or when we really like someone, we want to make a concession. We want to believe that things might get better or this is worthwhile. And time again, I mean, I've even told stories about myself. I can tell you another one. Recently, I matched with this girl, talked to her for, I think it was like 3 or 4 days, and it was fantastic. It was beautiful. Set up a date earlier than I normally would have. And what ended up happening? Well, we didn't even make it onto that date. We had a disagreement in values. And then that ended that. And unlike the last time that I told you this story, where I disregarded the fact that we had a disagreement in values and I went out with her anyways, I decided to just end it right then and there. And that's that. Why was I saying this? I don't even remember why I was saying that. Or I was telling you that story. Going out there, getting the job done, putting the effort in, trying to find someone. Oh, guys getting taken advantage of. That's what it was. Okay. So, not having that conversation, or not having the deep conversation. I know this is essentially what I talked about last week, but it's what could have led to somebody getting taken advantage of. Because maybe one person wants something different than the other. Here's the story. Maybe this is a better explanation of nice people finishing last, sort of, kind of, maybe. Girlfriend of mine. She was dating this guy, and actually just talked to her about this. She's been with this guy for 4 months. And she even said it to herself that having the tough conversations wasn't like her top priority because she was enjoying herself and she didn't want to ruin it. And again, I've said it many times, this is why we have the tough conversations. Nonetheless, she did mention some things. She mentioned, and she is a very, very, very nice person. So she definitely fits like the nice people finishing last thing. If that's the case, which it isn't, because other things. Anyways, she mentioned that, to this guy that she wants to get married. And originally when they had that conversation, he said, "Oh, that's so cool. That's great." And that was it. She didn't like poke and prod further. This is something that's important to her. She wants to get married. It's a deal breaker for her. If she's going to be with someone, she wants to marry them. And fast forward, this happened, I think, after give or take a month. Fast forward 3 more months. At the 4-month mark, when things starting to get a little, she asked that question again, or she brought it up again. Or no, this was at the 3-month mark. My apologies. She brought it up again, and they talked about marriage, and he said to her straight out, "Oh, I don't think I can see myself walking down the aisle." Okay. Well, obviously this guy doesn't want to get married. But then he said, "Well, maybe I could change my mind." And I think that's honestly like a bullshit remark. You literally just said you cannot see yourself walking down the aisle. Can people change? Absolutely. But will people change? That's a completely different story. That's like rolling, 25 dice and hoping they all end up on 6 within one roll. Good luck with those odds. Especially as we get older, especially when it's a person that's already been married, had kids, and is, in the place that they're in. They've sort of like lived the life, figured it out. This is where they are. Do you want to believe them? That's your choice. This is again where that whole idea of nice people finish last, because we're giving people the benefit of the doubt. You cannot give me something I want, so you give me some bullshit excuse saying that you could change in the future. What do I say to you guys? Communication and acceptance. Acceptance being accepting the person as they are, as they're standing in front of you. Today, this man does not want to get married. It is not planned in his future. If I was dating this person, need to accept such a thing. And for the most part, she did, because he promised her of maybe in the future things could change. The relationship didn't end up working out because a month later, the 4th month, things got a little rocky, communication broke. And when she finally confronted him about such things, it pretty much ended the relationship. Now, like I said, she is an incredibly nice human being. Incredibly nice human being. Do I think that she finishes last because of it? Not particularly. She knows better. Her and I talked about this. She knows better. This was one of those things where, she forgot to keep her eye focused on what the prize is. And in her case, the prize is, I want to find a life partner, long-term, get married, etc., etc., etc. But sometimes when we date and we go through so many people or talk to a lot of people, we start to become fatigued. We start to get upset. We start to get angry because we're not finding what we want. And that's understandable. And if that's the case, take a step back. But the thing is, going into the relationship, now being too nice, so to speak, and not getting clarified responses from her inquiries, whether like the whole wedding thing, or not finding out the answers you want to find out because you don't want to rock the boat, this is where it ends up. This is the consequence of such things. So you can attribute nice people finishing last because they're not aggressive enough to ask certain questions. Yeah, absolutely. Whose fault is it? Whose fault is that at the end of the day? It's their own fault. It's your own fault. Are you that type of person? When I say to you, know what you want, know what you don't want, know what you're ready for, know how you want someone to treat you, and all this stuff, and you write all this stuff down and have this blueprint, that blueprint is 1000% worthless unless you put it into action. Does that mean you stop being nice? Me personally, no, I don't think so. I think nice is a different meaning. There's a lot of people out there that, like I've mentioned in the communications podcast that I did, talking about communication, where some people believe that the word nice means pushover. And it doesn't have to be that way. But at the end of the day, this is your choice. This is your choice to say. This is your choice to do. So be nice, be considerate. I mean, those are things that I hold in very, very high regard personally. But don't let someone walk all over you. Don't be the nice person that finishes last because you get taken advantage of. Be the nice person that finishes last because you're looking for the thing you want. You're looking for your person. Be that nice person. Because at the end of the day, we want to be happy. And when I was even talking to my friend and telling her about all this, very similarly, that saying, give a man a fish he eats for a day, teach a man to fish he eats for the rest of his life. If you go out there looking for dating to be fun, just fun, because you get upset, you get in a rut, you get to the point where you're starting to be angry at the fact that you're not finding what you want. So rather than looking for what you want, the marriage, the this, the that, your mind changes and you start looking for something fun. And hopefully that turns out to be what you want. But without proper qualification, talking to someone, not being nice, maybe, being a little bit aggressive in the things that you need to know and want to know, the deal breakers. That's it. This is your happiness we're talking about at the end of the day. And I've said it a million times and I'll say it again. You need to be happy prior to going out there and looking for somebody. This is important. Because if you're not happy, you're essentially going to let someone walk all over you. Is that being too nice? Maybe. But it's like being too nice for a specific reason. You're being too nice because you want them in your life. And then we start getting into like the relationship types and someone being an anxious human being, where they'll just end up being nice because they want someone there. They're anxious. Is that being too nice? Is that finishing last? Maybe, because those people tend to get taken advantage of. Tend to. Not always. Not everybody out there is a bad person. So, but at the same time, there are people out there that are not necessarily a bad person, but they see that they can take advantage of you in some way or another, and they do. And they don't even feel bad about it because they have explained it to themselves already. For instance, when people say that they're single, but they're dating somebody exclusively, that is a lie. You're lying to yourself. You're not single. Single means one. If you're exclusive to someone, like, hey, listen, I really enjoy getting to know you. You're an amazing person. I would love it if you and I were exclusive as we progressed on this journey. And they said, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I feel you. I'm the same way. Perfect. You're not single anymore. You're now two people. You've given up that right of being single. Being single is being single, one person, which means at the end of the day, you have the ability. Well, I mean, you always have the ability, but you can go and date whomever you want, whenever you want, however you want, because you're single. But the minute that you commit yourself to somebody, you are no longer single. And that's you lying to yourself. Saying that you are single just to, like, let's continue this. This isn't a big deal. This person doesn't necessarily seem like it's something I want. So what I'll do is, I got nothing better to do. Let's get to know them anyways. And then you start to get to know them. Then you become exclusive to some degree. Maybe because you've started a physical relationship with them or not. But then you tell yourself, yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still single, like we're not like serious. No, you kind of are. You've declared that both of you are being exclusive to each other while we get to know each other. That's not being single anymore. Sorry to tell you. And you're lying to yourself. And then you have to look at what are you doing? Are you saying this to yourself because you don't necessarily want to be with this person or want to be exclusive with this person, but maybe timing, maybe, you're bored, so you just do it anyways for the hell of it? Well, no, you're just an asshole. So you're not even nice anymore. Because essentially you're hurting somebody because they think that you want something more from them and they want something more for you. And what you're really doing is just killing time. And then you lie to yourself saying, yeah, but they can, they can do whatever they want, even though they can, because you guys have chosen to be exclusive. So, yeah. I don't remember exactly the point that I was getting at, but I'm pretty sure I made that point. That's pretty much it, really. Do nice people finish last? Sometimes. It depends on the type of person that you are, because niceness has nothing to do with it. It just has to do with either you're a pushover, you're too picky, you're an anxious person, that sort of thing. So if any of this resonates with you, then I ask you to become more self-aware. Really think about that. Figure it out. Are you single and having a hard time because you're too picky? And I honestly don't believe there's any problem with that. I am that person. I am extremely picky. I have had so many friends tell me throughout the years that I should drop my standards. And it's like, but why? Why would I do such a stupid thing? I'm happy. I live a wonderful life. I know what I want. And only that will satisfy me. So Not going to happen. And if I end up being single for the rest of my life, I personally, despite me being nice and finishing last, I personally have come to terms with that being the case, and I am okay with it. I'm fine with that. You need to be fine with it too, or you need to like refigure all your stuff out, the things you want, what's important to you, etc., etc., etc. That's pretty much it, really. So, do nice people finish last? Nah. Picky people finish last. People that get walked all over finish last. Those are the types of people that finish last, not necessarily nice people. So that's it. That's all. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you got something out of this. And I thank you for making it this far to the end. And if you have any questions for me or want to buy my books, you can find me at joeyfrancis.com, joeyfrances.com. And there you can write me a message, send me an email, and we can talk. Or I can make a podcast about your question and how it may or may not help you. So, for the end of this episode, I wish for you to take a deep breath, take a step away if you need to, and become more self-aware. That's it. And if you are self-aware, congratulations. Put it to good use. Put it to good work. Go find what you're looking for and be happy. Until next time.